All right. So you've all probably heard about this Black Project 2025 thing right now.
Yeah, it's really taken off online.
I mean, everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, it's even hit mainstream media.
Right, which is kind of interesting considering where it started.
Yeah, it's basically a reaction to Project 2025.
Which, for folks who haven't been following that,
Yeah.
it's a pretty extensive document.
Like 900 pages,
Something like that, yeah. Put out by the Heritage Foundation,
which is
conservative think tank. Think of it as the, idea factory for a lot of Republican policies.
right, very influential.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Project 2025 is basically their roadmap for, well, let's just say if the current administration were to get another term.
Okay. And so where does the black part come in?
Well, a lot of the stuff in Project 2025, I mean, some of it's pretty drastic. Like they talk about potentially getting rid of the Department of Education.
Whoa.
Yeah. Big changes to Medicaid,
And those would disproportionately impact.
Black community,
Mm-hmm.
among others, but yeah, definitely.
So Black Project 2025 is kind of a, I don't know, like a counter movement to all that.
Exactly. It's like, okay, if they're planning for their future, we need to plan for ours.
And it all started with a TikTok, right?
That's right. This creator basically put out this call to action.
Look, what are we going to do?
Yeah. And it resonated
Big time.
big time. So what they're talking about is, building this directory of Black-owned businesses.
Okay, I've seen that. So the idea is like shift your spending.
Yeah. Away from the big corporations, support each other instead.
Makes sense.
But it's bigger than that, though.
Oh, yeah.
Black Project 2025 isn't just about where you buy your groceries. We're talking about building a whole economic ecosystem.
Whoa.
Black-owned banks, healthcare providers, construction companies, the whole works.
Is that even possible?
I mean, it's ambitious, no doubt.
It's putting it mildly.
But this idea of Black economic empowerment, it's not new.
Right.
There's a long history of it in the U.S.
Yes. Some successes, some.
Right, definitely. But what's different now, I think, is the internet.
Ah. Okay.
That power to connect, to organize, that's huge. So, whether they can pull it off, who knows?
It's early days.
It is. But the potential, I think, is undeniable.
So, like, practically speaking, what are they actually doing?
Well, like you said, there's that directory of businesses, and I think they're working on a whole platform
To do what?
to connect people, facilitate mentorship, maybe even create their own financial systems.
Whoa.
It's a huge undertaking, but the energy, the commitment, it's there. And that's what's so interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, the response has been incredible.
Even have a wait list to join.
A wait list. Seriously.
Yep, which tells you something.
Yeah, that this isn't just some, like, online fad.
No, there's organization behind it. I mean, they're specifically calling for people with certain skills.
Like what?
Cybersecurity experts, app developers, engineers. I mean, this is serious stuff.
It's like they're building a nation.
Yeah, in a way. It's
Right.
fascinating.
I mean, it sounds great, but realistically, building a parallel economy, I mean, come on, that's got to be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, past efforts often struggled with things like access to capital,
All right.
discriminatory practices, lack of widespread support.
So what makes this time different?
Well, for one thing, like we said, the internet.
Right.
That's a game changer.
Social media.
It's key. This movement is tapping into a growing awareness of economic inequality,
Yeah.
racial justice issues. And they're using the power of these online communities to organize, to mobilize.
So yeah, like you said, they're building this platform.
Right. To connect businesses with consumers, make it easier to support each other.
But isn't there a risk, though? I mean, with all the online stuff, like, doesn't that create these echo chambers?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Any movement that relies heavily on online spaces needs to be mindful of that.
Echo chambers, misinformation.
Right. And also the difficulty of reaching people who aren't online.
So how do they address that?
Well, from what I've seen, they seem to be aware of those challenges, and they're trying to build bridges to offline communities.
Okay. Like how?
They're encouraging local meetups, partnering with existing organizations, doing educational initiatives.
So it's not just online.
No, they're trying to work both angles.
That makes sense.
Because ultimately, for this to really work, they need to reach a broad audience.
Right. So to recap, we have Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation, which, sparked this whole thing.
Right, and it's interesting, right.
Totally. And then we have Black Project 2025 emerging as this direct response
Gaining traction on TikTok.
and quickly growing into something much bigger. It's fascinating to see how this is all unfolding.
Absolutely. And it really makes you think, right, could this be a model for other marginalized groups.
Other groups who are also seeking economic empowerment, self-sufficiency.
Exactly. Could we see similar movements emerging within other communities, building their own ecosystems, leveraging the power of technology? It's something worth pondering.
I mean, as we continue to watch Black Project 2025 and how it evolves, it has the potential to be truly groundbreaking.
It really does.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Always a pleasure. And for everyone listening, keep an eye on this Black Project 2025. This is one to watch.